So your freelance year is shaping up better than expected, and you're staring at a number north of 240 grand in net profit. Congrats, and also brace yourself, because the 20% QBI deduction you've been quietly counting on, it starts disappearing the moment your taxable income crosses a very specific line. For 2025, the IRS set that line at $241,950 for single filers and $483,900 for married filing jointly. In 2026, those numbers tick up again with inflation, but the mechanic underneath them is the part nobody explains clearly, and it's the part that quietly costs higher-earning freelancers 5 figures in deductions they thought were locked in. Here's what makes this messy. Section 199A, the part of the tax code that gives you that 20% deduction on qualified business income, was supposed to sunset at the end of 2025. Then the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, signed in July 2025, made it permanent and actually widened the phase-in range starting in 2026. So if you read a blog post from Twi3 telling you the deduction was about to vanish, throw it out. The deduction is staying. But the phase-out math just got more important, not less, because now this is the rule you're going to be living with for the rest of your freelance career. Let me give you the actual number first, then the why. According to the IRS, the QBI deduction is generally 20% of your qualified business income, capped by 20% of your taxable income minus net capital gains. Simple at low incomes. But once your taxable income crosses that $241,950 single or $483,900 joint threshold for 2025, two things kick in that most freelancers have never heard of: a W-2 wage and property test and the SSTB rule. And if you're a consultant, a designer, a coach, a lawyer, a financial advisor, a health professional, or basically anyone whose business is their personal skill, the SSTB rule is the one that's about to ruin your day. SSTB stands for Specified Service Trade or Business. The IRS lists these out in the regulations under Section 199A: health, law, accounting, consulting, athletics, performing arts, financial services, brokerage services, investment management, and this is the catch-all that snags most freelancers: any trade or business where the principal asset is the reputation or skill of one or more of its employees. That's almost every solo freelancer I know. Copywriters, coaches, consultants, contractors selling expertise. If your client is paying for your brain, the IRS treats you as an SSTB. And here's why that matters. Below the threshold, SSTB status is irrelevant. You get the full 20%. Inside the phase-out range, your deduction shrinks on a sliding scale. Above the top of the phase-out range, an SSTB gets 0. Not a reduced deduction. 0. The whole 20% benefit evaporates. For 2025, that phase-out range is $50,000 wide for single filers. So the deduction fully disappears at $291,950 of taxable income and $100,000 wide for joint filers, disappearing at $583,900. And this is where the One Big Beautiful Bill quietly changed things. Starting in 2026, those phase-in ranges expand to $75,000 for single and $150,000 for joint, which gives SSTB freelancers a slightly gentler glide path before the deduction zeroes out. Slightly. Don't throw a parade. Let me walk you through what this actually looks like, because abstract percentages don't land. Say you're a single freelance consultant. You netted $260,000 after expenses in 2025. You max your solo 401k at $70,000. And by the way, if you don't have a solo 401k yet and you're earning at this level, that's the first thing you fix this week, not next quarter. You take the deductible half of your self-employment tax, roughly $11,000. So your taxable income before QBI lands around $179,000. Wait, that's actually below the threshold. Full deduction. See how powerful the retirement contribution is? It dragged you under the line. Now run it without the solo 401k. Same $260,000 net, no retirement contribution, standard deduction of $15,000 for 2025, and you're looking at taxable income around $234,000. Still under. Okay, push it harder. You netted $310,000, no solo 401k, and your taxable income lands at about $284,000. You're now $42,000 into the $50,000 phase-out range. As an SSTB consultant, you've phased out 84% of your deduction. You keep 16% of the 20%, which works out to roughly a 3.2% deduction on your QBI instead of 20%. That's the difference between deducting around 50 grand and deducting maybe 8. At a 32% marginal rate, that one decision, not funding the solo 401k, just cost you roughly $13,000 in federal tax. In 1 year, this is why I keep saying most freelancers set up their solo 401k too late. It's not just about retirement. At this income level, the solo 401k is a QBI deduction rescue device. Every dollar you shovel into it lowers your taxable income, which can pull you back under the SSTB cliff and unlock the full 20%. Honestly, I think most advisors get this backwards. They treat retirement contributions as a separate conversation from QBI, when at the higher earner level, they're literally the same conversation. Same dollar, two benefits stacked. Tax-deferred savings plus a reinstated 20% deduction. The math is brutal in your favor. Now, if you're not an SSTB, say you're a freelance product manufacturer, an e-commerce seller, a developer building software you license, a real estate operator, different game. Above the phase-out, you don't get zeroed out. Instead, your deduction gets capped by what the IRS calls the W-2 wages and OBBBA test. 50% of the W-2 wages your business pays, or 25% of wages plus 2.5% of the unadjusted basis of qualified property. For a true solo freelancer paying yourself only through owner draws on a Schedule C, you pay 0 W-2 wages, which means above the threshold, the wage test gives you 0. Same result as the SSTB. Deduction gone. This is the part that catches developers and e-commerce sellers especially off guard. They assume because they're not an SSTB, they're safe. They're not. If they're solo and not running payroll, they hit the same cliff for a totally different reason. The fix for non-SSTBs is structural. Elect S-corp status, run W-2 wages to yourself, and now those wages count toward the 50% test. There's nuance here. Reasonable compensation rules, payroll costs, state taxes. Your situation determines whether the S-corp switch is worth it, and below about $90,000 in net profit, it usually isn't. But once you're in QBI phase-out territory, the S-corp conversation gets serious fast. One more wrinkle that trips people up. The threshold is based on your total taxable income, not just your business income. So if your spouse has a big W-2 job, that income counts. If you have a chunk of capital gains from selling some stock, that counts. A freelancer earning $200,000 with a spouse earning $350,000 is already deep in the joint phase-out, and the QBI deduction on the freelance income is getting chopped, even though the freelance number alone looks safe. Filing status doesn't just change the threshold. It changes whose income you're stacking on top of yours. Run the household number, not the business number. And quickly, because this is the question I get every time. Above-the-line deductions help you. Itemized deductions help you. The standard deduction helps you. Anything that lowers taxable income pulls you back under the cliff. HSA contributions. If you're on a high-deductible plan, that's $4,300 for self-only coverage in 2025 per the IRS, $8,550 for family. SEPA IRA or solo 401k contributions. Even bunching charitable donations into a single year via a donor-advised fund. These aren't separate strategies. They're all the same lever: reduce taxable income, restore QBI. Quick aside, I cover taxes and retirement for self-employed workers, and I'll tell you the single most common mistake I see in this income band isn't aggressive tax planning gone wrong. It's no planning at all. Someone has a breakout year, doesn't run the numbers until April, finds out their QBI got vaporized, and there's nothing left to do. You have to model this in October or November, while you can still write a check to your solo 401k, which, by the way, technically you have until your tax deadline, including extensions to fund the employer portion, but the employee deferral election generally has to be in place by December 31st. Miss that deadline and the rescue plan dies with the calendar year. The action plan, if you're sitting somewhere between 200 and 300 grand in net profit. First, calculate your projected taxable income now, not in April. Take your net business income, subtract half your self-employment tax, subtract retirement contributions, subtract the standard or itemized deduction. That's your QBI threshold number. Second, if you're within striking distance of the cliff, max the solo 401k. For 2025, the IRS set the total limit at $70,000 if you're under 50, $77,500 if you're 50 or older. Third, if you're a non-SSTB pushing past the threshold every year, model the S-corp election with someone who runs the payroll math for solo operators. Fourth, watch the 2026 thresholds. They adjust for inflation, and the phase-in widens, so the cliff is in a slightly different place next year than it is this year. I'm not a licensed CPA or financial advisor. This is general education for freelancers, not personalized advice. If this saved you from a 5-figure tax surprise, subscribe. It's the only thing that tells me to keep making these. If there's a specific freelance tax question you want me to take apart next, drop it in the comments and I'll work it into a future video. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.